Hey guys, it's your boy Thriller here, and I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a postcom. Real quick before we get into why it's a postcom, this is with the Bulb Joy Draft League. We're taking on our Vanilla, who is our first time ever playing this person. This is their team right here. I'm not gonna do really a team analysis here because there's kind of something I want to just talk about real quick before we get into the battle here. Just my thought process of the game. Top four pretty much plus Cobalion Spirit Tomb. Maybe we could see a Toxic X potentially if they're fearing Darn and they're fearing something else potentially. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else. I don't think Kamala comes. It's not that good of a mon. I think Defog on Torrens would be forced to be brought here. This is the squad we brought. We brought Hippowdon with mixed defensive, a little bit more some depth. Chopple drill so we can make sure we live a hit from the close combat from zero, which either is going to be Scarf or the Fairy. We have a Conberry Gyarados, which is meant to take one electric type move, set up, and hopefully get some damage off. We have an offensive Galvantula with webs. We have a Choice Scarf Darm, which is meant to outspeed everything that's not Choice Scarfed and just deal down some damage. And then we have Deancey, which is designed here to just pretty much click a button and just hopefully set up and win potentially. Now, before we go into the team, talk about this matchup here. The reason why this is postcom, and this is gonna be me saying sorry to our opponent Vanilla. I got very angry in this battle because I personally felt like my opponent was making plays that I strongly disagree with. And I genuinely think they should never have been the play to make in that moment, personally, in my opinion. And you'll kind of see why. But I wanted to make this part of the video, and I'll probably say at the end here, I want to apologize to Manila um, that this wasn't a live com battle. I rather have live com this game, but I didn't want to show a side of me that was just frustrated with how someone played. They explained in the in like the post game why they made the plays they had to do and why they were willing to take the gambles. Now, I may not still agree with those plays, but that should not have been me coming off angry and questioning everything. Obviously, they had their reasons. They told me their reasons, and you know what? I'm just going to accept that's what the play they made, and that's what we ended up making looks like a misplay. So we're going to go ahead and just get into the battle. We'll still talk about my thought process and explain the turns what I did here. So they pretty much brought exactly what we expected. They did bring Kamala, which I was actually very surprised they would bring Kamala, which he has a dog of water matchup into my team. And then there was Toxapex. Like I said, I could have maybe had saw the Pex coming. No Cobalion really shocked me, but they stated that Cobalion was really tough to bring, which made sense because Cobalion can just straight up still lose to Darm, loses pretty much gets neutered by webs. Gyarados pretty much beats it. Drill and Hippo beats it. So I can understand maybe not wanting it. I thought it would have been really good to make sure you had revenge for Deanzy, as you have very little for Deanzy outside of potentially a maybe a ground or steel move from Zero potentially. That's just my thought process there. So um, but yeah, let's go ahead into the battle here. So I'm going to go ahead and lead off with my Galvantula as they're going to lead off the Torrent here. So my play here is to think that there's three plays they can make here. They could U-turn here, they could taunt on my webs, or they could just hard out into Garchomp. I decided to take the gamble here and just go for the Thunder. If they go Garchomp, they go Garchomp here. They click Heat Wave and die, and they kill me because they're Life Orb. So they're offensive Torn, which I'm going to be completely honest, I was not expecting offensive Torn. I didn't really think that was going to be a thing versus my team personally. I think more of like a good pivot set, like a max HP Torn, made a lot more sense here with taunt, U-turn, stuff like that, and then having like Hurricane plus Heat Wave to be or some coverage ups on there. I was never expecting an offensive Torn, which I guess maybe if I looked at my team a little bit more, I didn't have a really good flying resist per se. So I guess maybe I should have thought about that idea a little bit more. But the thing, this is one of the first plays, one of the first times I somewhat questioned it, and they even agreed that if I was Scarf on Gal and that this just straight up died, Extradol pretty much just won the game. Extradol plus Darmanitan and Deanty, even Gyarados extent, would have just straight up won the game. And I think there was no denying that at that point. So I very much kind of questioned that play there. So I'm going to go with my Gyarados here. Now, honestly, I think I got a little greedy trying to go for the Dragon Dance early here. I should have just went for some offensive damage here. I also looked at the count. With my Walk-On Berry, this is a major blunder on my end. I still died. And I did the counts. If it is not even if not even if it's adamant, it's still a guaranteed knocker off. First off, I would find out that this is definitely adamant here. But I was insanely surprised that that just straight up killed me. So I go Hippo here, go double out into my Diancie here. Now, this is a play I should have hold BL on because Diancie straight up kills this thing with a power gem. They would have just gotten off massive damage off on me, would have killed this thing. They would have killed this thing, or I would have killed, they would have tried to get some damage off on me. I would have killed this thing, and we would have been set. We would have been good. But in my mind, I think the play here is to either go into your Toxapex, your Necrozma, or even try to get Garchomp in to get that Sand Force up. So I was thinking there should always be a switch out here. There should never be a moment where you stay in here when I easily can kill you here. So I go for, I think, the Iron Defense or the Calm Mind there. They actually make the play to stay in and go for the Hidden Power Steel. And this is where I got frustrated because I generally thought this was a bad play in my opinion. Because losing Torn basically means you lose to Earthquake. I feel like if you're going to give up your only ground check when there is an Excadrill on the other side of the field, I really think that's not a smart idea, in my personal opinion. Because if you want to just give up your only answer to ground, let an Excadrill set up, and then just win the game with Earthquake, plus then having a Darm in the back, which can pretty much beat everything else. Because I had Earthquake on Darm. I can easily, like, if this gets chipped down to the point, again, Earthquake, 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 Earthquake. I can just spam Earthquake, or get to the point where that thing can't switch on a Flare Blitz, and I can just Flare Blitz or Fire Punch everything to death. Like, I had the tools to basically win this game to straight up. Like, there was that. But they made this play. Obviously, they stated that they rather have just shut me down, and that was what their thought process was. I still don't agree with the play. I really don't, but it's obviously the play they made. It's their choice. Um, then they go, and then we go into Darm here. I'm just gonna click Flare Blitz here as they click this. We're gonna do a massive chunk to them, which means that this Flare Blitz is probably most likely going to be a chance to roll here. They can go for the Scald here, but I always should live one Scald here. But the play they should be making here is recover. If they don't recover here, then they're risking losing, like, pretty much just guaranteed wanting to risk to lose this thing. Now, there's a chance that Scald knocks me down into range where Sand knocks me out potentially, and they can just recover spam that way. But they should always click recover here. That is always the proper play to make here. But they actually click Scald, which I really don't agree with. I think that was just a really, like, you're getting way too greedy of a play right there. Like, that's way too greedy of a play to make that in front of Darn. Like, I think the smartest play would have been just wasting my sand turns by clicking recover. Because, like, if I did click Earthquake there, it was like, um if I clicked Flare Blitz, it was more likely a roll to a KO you at the range you were at. Guaranteed. And then also, what if I'm not Scarf or Bandit and I click Earthquake there? You basically would have just gave up. You would have put your packs really low to the point then where Drill comes in. You're now forced to either decide that this is going to be an Earthquake or this is going to be an SD. And then from there, I pretty much can just Oko stuff. But they made the play they felt was the smart one. I'm, I don't even know if they had recover or not because they just never went for it. But you're just gonna see right here, I'm typing GG because there's quite literally nothing I can do. I literally lose this game. I cannot win. They clicked Hurricane, which I really don't understand why you would click Hurricane in front. Like, there's still a Steel type in the back. I don't know why you click Hurricane. Also, you were literally shown to have Grass Knot, so why not click that in front of this, you know? So, that's just my thought process, and I'm just gonna go ahead and speed this up for you guys. 'Cause there's no point. Yeah, we get 6 out week one when I thought we had a really good matchup and I felt really confident about this. Um, yeah. But like I said, and I'm saying it here again, even though I personally did not agree with any of these plays made by my opponent, they obviously told me they had their reason to take the chances that they did with this play, this and that. I just personally still won't agree with those plays, but it's the plays that happen. The battle happened the way it did, and we lose. So I'm just gonna try to forget about the game. I'm gonna move on from this game. We're gonna move on to week two. I don't remember who we're facing in week two. I think it might be a division game actually against the other division of the pools that we're in. I'm just gonna play these games. I'm just gonna try to relax, not take it too seriously, and hopefully we don't do post comps for risks again. So again, to Vanilla, I apologize if I came off rude in the post game chat potentially, and I apologize that I came off rude during our battle. I promise I'm not like that. I just had some just like a little bit of the competitive player came out of me and was just questioning things. But obviously, you made the plays you did. I will respect and understand why you made the plays. I will still have my opinions, but I have voiced my opinions enough, so I'm not going to keep dragging that out. So, GG's to you. Best of luck the rest of the season. I hope you do really well, and hopefully, I get my rematch versus you because I'm ready to run it back, and I know exactly what I'm going to do this summer round. So, thank you all so much for watching. Again, I apologize for me being a salty, sore loser and having to do a post like this. And you, if you want to call me a sore loser in the chat, go ahead. I understand. Um, I need to stop letting my some like this part of my competitive side come out and be aggressive and just make post like this. I need to stop taking it serious. We're here to have fun. We're here to enjoy ourselves, and I don't want to give up such a bad reputation right off the get go. That's just not who I am. And I apologize to the admin team for maybe coming off rude, and for admitting that I came off rude in this video because I think owning your mistakes is how you get better. I'm probably dragging out this video for no real reason, so I apologize for that as well. But GG's again to Vanilla. We will hopefully face them again in the rematch and hopefully just another game in general. We're gonna try our best to bounce back, guys. It's not gonna be easy to bounce back. Obviously, when I don't know who I'm playing in terms of like the players here. So it's gonna hopefully be a nice learning experience. And again, I'm just gonna try my best to have some fun with these people because I've never played them before. I want to make a really good first impression and a good experience here with us here in the Ball Joey Draft League. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Join the Fruit Crew today because you'll be really getting your crew. And with that being said, I will see you all for week two. Peace out, everybody.